Commander Tay stood at the observation deck of Sentinel-7, staring at the stars. The orbital station floated high above Earth, quiet and peaceful. He had been watching the defense grid for 12 hours straight, checking every sensor, every camera, every warning system. Everything looked normal. Space was calm. Then the alarm screamed. Tay ran to the main control room. Officers rushed to their stations. Screens lit up with red warnings. Something massive had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. "What is that?" Tay demanded. Lieutenant Rena pulled up the long-range sensors. Her face went pale. "Sir, I'm counting 300 ships. No, wait, 312. They just appeared out of nowhere." Tay felt his stomach drop. 300 ships. Humanity had only 47 warships in total, and most of them were small patrol vessels. He pressed the emergency button that connected him directly to Earth Command. "This is Sentinel-7, we have contact. Unknown fleet, massive size, hostile positioning." Within minutes, every military facility on Earth and across the colonies went to high alert. Admiral Hanna arrived at the command center in Geneva, still fastening her uniform. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back tight. People said she had never lost her calm, even during the Mars colony crisis 5 years ago. "Show me," she said. The screens displayed the alien fleet. The ships were huge, angular, and covered in dark metal. They hung in space like predators waiting to strike. Each ship was 5 times bigger than humanity's largest vessel. Then came the message. The alien transmission broke through every communication channel on Earth. The voice was harsh, clicking, and cold. The computers translated it into human languages. "We are the Vorash Collective. You will surrender your worlds and your people. You have 72 hours to submit. Refuse, and we will destroy everything you have built. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. Admiral Hanna closed her eyes for 3 seconds, then opened them. "Get me everyone. Military leaders, scientists, politicians. I want them all here in 1 hour." The emergency council gathered in the deep underground bunker beneath Geneva. President Day arrived from Korea. Captain Wu came from his ship in orbit. Intelligence Director Yuna flew in from the monitoring station on Luna. But the most important person was Dr. Kwan, a thin man with tired eyes who ran the Quantum Research Division. "Can we fight them?" President Day asked. Captain Wu shook his head. "No, sir. I've run the numbers. Our entire fleet against theirs, we'd last maybe 6 hours. Probably less. They have weapons we've never seen before. Their shields are stronger than anything we can build." "What about the orbital defense platforms?" someone asked. "Not enough," Captain Wu said quietly. "Not nearly enough." Admiral Hanna looked around the table. "So we can't fight. Can we run? Evacuate Earth?" Yuna answered that one. "Where would we go? Our 3 colony worlds combined can only hold 2 million people. Earth has 8 billion, even if we had time, which we don't." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Humanity was going to die. Then Dr. Kwan spoke up. His voice was soft, almost afraid. "There might be another way." Everyone turned to look at him. "For the past 8 years, my team has been working on something. We called it Project Mirage. It was supposed to be a cloaking device, but it didn't work the way we expected." He pulled out a tablet and showed them data. "It doesn't make things invisible to sensors. It makes them invisible to minds." "What does that mean?" President Day asked. Dr. Kwan chose his words carefully. "Imagine looking at a ship on your screen. Your sensors see it. Your cameras record it, but your brain can't process it. You look right at it, but you can't think about it. You forget it exists even while you're staring at it." "That's impossible," Captain Wu said. "We thought so too. But we tested it 3 months ago on a satellite. We could track it on every instrument. But nobody in the observation room could remember seeing it. They looked at the data and their minds just slipped away from it. It's like the object stops existing to conscious thought." Admiral Hanna leaned forward. "How does it work?" "Quantum field manipulation. Consciousness interacts with quantum states in ways we're just beginning to understand. This technology exploits that interaction. It creates a field that prevents conscious minds from forming memories or thoughts about anything inside it." "Can you make it bigger?" Hanna asked. "Big enough for ships? For stations? For Earth?" Dr. Kwan swallowed hard. "Theoretically, yes. But we stopped testing because we were afraid. This technology is dangerous. What if we turned it on and couldn't turn it off? What if people inside the field forgot they existed? Can you have it ready in 72 hours? Dr. Kwan looked at the data on his tablet. He looked at the faces around the table. He thought about his family in Seoul, his daughter who was only 6 years old. If we work without stopping, if I get every resource I need, if nothing goes wrong, maybe we can do it. Admiral Hana stood up. Then that's what we'll do. Dr. Kwan, you have unlimited authority. Take whatever you need, whoever you need. The entire military is now under your command for Project Mirage. Captain Wu raised his hand. Admiral, permission to volunteer my ship for the first test. Granted. How long do you need, Doctor? Dr. Kwan did calculations in his head. Give me 24 hours. I'll install the first field generator on Captain Wu's ship. If it works, we'll know we have a chance. The next day, Captain Wu took his ship, the Dauntless, to a safe distance from Earth. Dr. Kwan's team had worked through the night, installing a quantum field generator in the ship's core. 3 observation vessels watched from different positions, all recording. Generator is ready, Dr. Kwan's voice came through the radio. Captain Wu, are you ready? Wu sat in his command chair looking at his crew, young men and women who trusted him. We're ready. Activate the field. The generator hummed to life. Nothing seemed to change. The Dauntless still appeared on every screen and sensor. But in the observation ships, something strange happened. Officers looked at their screens showing the Dauntless. They saw the data. They saw the ship. But when they tried to report it, they couldn't remember what they were looking at. One officer stared at the screen for a full minute, then turned to his commander and said, Sir, I think the test ship left. The commander looked at the same screen, clearly showing the Dauntless. Yes, I think you're right. Where did it go? They were looking directly at it. The sensors tracked it perfectly, but their minds couldn't hold on to the information. Back in the command center, Dr. Kwan watched the test results with tears in his eyes. It works, he whispered. It actually works. Admiral Hana allowed herself a small smile. Then we have our answer. Humanity won't fight the Vorash. We won't surrender to them either. She looked up at the screen showing Earth beautiful and blue. We're going to disappear. 50 hours remained until the Vorash deadline. Dr. Kwan had not slept. His team had not slept. They worked in shifts, building quantum field generators as fast as possible. Factories on Earth and Mars ran at full capacity, producing the strange devices that would make humanity invisible to thought. The generators looked simple from outside. Metal boxes about the size of a car, covered in cooling pipes and power cables. But inside, they bent the laws of physics in ways that made even Dr. Kwan nervous. He knew this technology could save humanity. He also knew it could drive them insane. Lieutenant Rena stood in the hangar bay of Sentinel-7, watching technicians install a generator in her fighter. She was 26 years old, born in Busan, and she had wanted to be a pilot since she was a child. Now she wondered if she would live to see her next birthday. Is it safe? She asked the technician. The man shrugged. He looked exhausted. Dr. Kwan says it is, but nobody really knows. You're going to be one of the first to test it in combat conditions. Rena climbed into her cockpit. The fighter felt different now, heavier somehow. She could feel the generator humming beneath her seat. Her squadron leader, a woman named Hai, called over the radio. All wings, we're doing a live test. Stay in formation. We're going to fly past the Vorash scout ship near Mars. Let's see if they notice us. 12 fighters launched from Sentinel-7. They flew in perfect formation toward Mars, where a single Vorash scout ship waited. The alien vessel was huge, covered in weapons and sensors. It could destroy all 12 fighters in seconds. Activating fields, Hai said. Now. Rena pressed the button. The generator activated. For a moment she felt strange, like she was falling. Then the feeling passed. Everything looked normal. She could see her fellow pilots on her screens. She could hear them on the radio. But when she looked at her wingman's fighter, something felt wrong. Her sensors showed it clearly. It was right there, 20 meters away, but her mind kept sliding away from it. She knew it existed. She could see it, but she couldn't think about it. Trying to focus on it was like trying to remember a dream. The thought just dissolved. This is terrifying, someone said over the radio. Stay focused, Hai commanded. We're approaching the scout ship. The 12 fighters flew directly past the Vorash vessel. They came so close that Rena could see the alien ship's weapon ports. She waited for the alarms, for the missiles, for the laser fire. Nothing happened. The Vorash ship sat there silent. Its sensors swept over the human fighters. Its cameras recorded them. But inside the ship, the Vorash crew saw nothing unusual. Their minds simply could not process what their instruments showed them. Rena's squadron returned to Sentinel-7. Everyone was shaking. "It works," Hai reported to Admiral Hana. "We flew right past them. They never reacted." Across the solar system, the same scene repeated. Human ships approached Vorash vessels, invisible to thought. Every test succeeded. The Vorash could not see what their minds refused to acknowledge. Dr. Kwan presented his final plan to the Council. "We have 42 hours left. We need to install generators on every ship, every station, every satellite. We need generators on Earth itself, thousands of them, creating overlapping fields." "What about people?" President Day asked. "Will this hurt civilians?" "People inside the field won't feel anything. They'll exist normally. But to anyone outside the field, to the Vorash, they won't exist at all. Not to sensors, we can't hide from that. But to their minds, to their consciousness, humans will be ghosts." "Do it," Admiral Hana ordered. The next 40 hours were chaos. Ships rushed back to Earth and the colonies for modifications. Captain Wu coordinated the military vessels while civilian ships lined up at every station. Dr. Kwan's teams installed thousands of generators across Earth's surface. In cities, in the oceans, even in the deep wilderness. They placed generators on the Moon, on Mars, on the 3 colony worlds. On Earth, people watched the sky with fear. News broadcasts showed the Vorash fleet moving closer. The alien ships had reached Mars orbit now. They would arrive at Earth in hours. Counselor Sora worked at emergency centers across Seoul, helping people stay calm. She was a psychologist who specialized in crisis situations. But this was beyond any crisis she had trained for. People were afraid, and she could not promise them everything would be okay. "What if it doesn't work?" a woman asked her, holding her child close. Sora wanted to lie, to say something comforting, but she chose honesty. "Then we fought until the end. But Dr. Kwan is brilliant. If anyone can save us, he can." Intelligence Director Yuna monitored the Vorash communications from her station on Luna. She had learned to understand their language through their broadcasts. The Vorash were confident, arrogant. They expected humanity to surrender or die. They had conquered 47 other species. None had ever defeated them. "They think we're weak," Yuna reported to Admiral Hana. "They think we'll beg for mercy." "Let them think that," Hana replied. "Let them get close." 10 hours before the deadline, the Vorash fleet reached Earth orbit. 312 massive warships surrounded the planet. Their weapons could destroy cities in seconds. Their leader, Commander Thross, sent another message. "Humans, your time is ending. Surrender now, and some of you will survive as workers for the collective. Refuse, and we will burn your world. You have 10 hours. President Day wanted to respond, to say something defiant. Admiral Hana stopped him. "Let them wonder," she said. "Silence will confuse them more than words." The last hours passed like years. Dr. Kwan checked every generator, every connection, every power supply. His hands shook from exhaustion and fear. This had to work. If it failed, humanity would die, all of it. Everything humans had ever built, ever dreamed, ever been. Gone. Lieutenant Rena sat in her fighter, waiting. Her squadron was ready to launch. Around Earth, 47 human warships prepared for battle they hoped would never come. Sentinel-7 and the other stations locked down their systems. On Earth's surface, 8 billion people waited. Commander Tay watched the countdown. 5 minutes, 4, 3. All stations. Admiral Hana's voice came through every speaker. Prepare for Operation Ghost Protocol. Dr. Kwan, is everything ready? Dr. Kwan sat at his control station, his finger over the activation button. Every generator in the solar system was connected to his system. One button would activate them all. Ready, Admiral. Captain Wu, status? Fleet is in position. We're ready. Lieutenant Rena? Fighter standing by. President Day, do you have anything to say? The President of Earth looked at the camera. He thought about his daughter, his wife, his parents. He thought about every human being waiting in fear. Yes, to every person on Earth and our colonies, we are humanity. We have survived ice ages and plagues, wars and disasters. We have walked on the moon and touched Mars. We have built wonders and dreamed impossible dreams. Today we face our greatest test, but we will not break. We will not surrender. We are still here. Admiral Hana looked at the clock. 10 seconds remained. Dr. Kwan, activate Project Mirage. All systems now. Dr. Kwan pressed the button. Across the solar system, thousands of quantum field generators activated at once. The effect was instant. On Vorash sensors, nothing changed. Every screen still showed human ships, human stations, planet Earth itself. But in the minds of every Vorash warrior, something broke. Commander Thross stared at his tactical display. He knew he was looking at something important. His sensors showed objects. His computers listed targets. But he could not understand what he was seeing. The information was there, but his mind could not hold it. What? He started to say, then forgot what he was asking. Around Earth, 300 Vorash warships held their position. Their crews looked at their screens in confusion. They saw data. They saw readings. But they could not form thoughts about it. Earth was right in front of them. Human ships surrounded them. But to the Vorash, it was as if humanity had never existed. On Sentinel-7, Commander Tay watched the Vorash fleet. The alien ships just floated there, doing nothing. Their weapons stayed cold. Their engines idled. "Admiral," he said quietly, "they can't see us. They're looking right at us, but they can't see us." Admiral Hana allowed herself to breathe. "Then we have succeeded. Humanity has disappeared." In her fighter, Lieutenant Rena watched the Vorash flagship on her screen. It was massive, powerful, terrifying, but it did not fire. It did not move. It just drifted, blind and confused. She whispered to herself, "We're ghosts now." 3 weeks had passed since humanity disappeared. The Vorash fleet still hung in orbit around Earth, but something was wrong with them. Very wrong. Captain Wu watched from the bridge of the Dauntless as his ship drifted alongside a massive Vorash cruiser. His vessel was so close that he could see into the alien ship's windows. Vorash warriors moved inside, checking their instruments, talking to each other. They looked confused and angry. "They still can't see us," his first officer said. "No," Wu replied. "Their sensors see us perfectly, but their minds can't. Watch this." He fired the maneuvering thrusters. The Dauntless moved directly in front of the Vorash cruiser's bridge. Through the viewport, Wu could see a Vorash commander staring right at him. The alien's eyes looked at the human ship, but there was no recognition. No alarm, nothing. "It's like we don't exist to them," the first officer whispered. Wu had been conducting these tests for days. Human ships could fly anywhere, do anything, and the Vorash simply could not react. Their weapons tracked human vessels automatically, but no Vorash gunner ever pulled the trigger. Their computers registered targets, but the crew forgot to engage them. Admiral Hana had given Wu a new mission. If the Vorash could not see humanity, then humanity would start taking apart the Vorash fleet piece by piece. "Bring us alongside their engine section," Wu ordered. "Prepare the boarding team." 10 Marines in spacesuits drifted from the Dauntless to the Vorash cruiser. They carried explosive charges. The Vorash ship's external cameras recorded everything. Inside, a Vorash security officer watched his monitors, but his brain could not process what he saw. Human soldiers attached explosives to the hull. They worked slowly, carefully. When they finished, they returned to the Dauntless. Wu moved his ship to a safe distance. "Detonate." The charges exploded. The Vorash cruiser's engines died. The massive ship went dark and began drifting. Inside, the Vorash crew panicked. They knew something happened, but they could not understand what. Their damage reports showed external explosions, but when they reviewed the camera footage, their minds simply slipped away from the images of human soldiers. Commander Thross, leader of the Vorash fleet, was losing his mind. He sat in his command chamber trying to remember why he came to this star system. He knew he had a mission. His fleet had traveled here to conquer something. But what? His officers reported strange things. Sensors detecting ships that nobody could describe. Weapons that tracked targets that did not exist. Camera footage of something, but nobody could say what. "Are we sick?" Thross asked his medical officer. "Is this a disease?" The medical officer had no answers. Half the fleet reported similar problems. Warriors seeing things that were not there. Or were they there? Nobody could agree. The Vorash, who had conquered 47 worlds, were being defeated by an enemy they could not even perceive. On Earth, life continued in a strange new way. People went to work, children went to school, but everyone knew they were invisible to the enemy above. Counselor Sora held group therapy sessions in Seoul, helping people deal with the psychological effects. "How do we know we're real?" a man asked. "If the aliens can't think about us, do we exist?" Sora chose her words carefully. "We exist to each other." We exist to ourselves. That's what matters. The Vorash's inability to perceive us is their weakness, not our problem. But secretly, Sora worried. She had noticed changes in people. Those who worked with the quantum field generators reported feeling disconnected from reality. Some said they sometimes forgot they existed. Dr. Kwan had warned about this. The technology affected human minds too, just more slowly. Intelligence Director Yuna worked from her office on Luna, monitoring Vorash communications. She had become an expert in their language. What she heard fascinated her. The Vorash were falling apart. Their tight military discipline was breaking. Warriors argued about whether they were hallucinating. Some wanted to retreat. Others insisted they needed to complete the mission, even though nobody could remember what the mission was. Yuna recorded everything and sent reports to Admiral Hana. They're experiencing collective psychosis. The fleet is fragmentally stable, but barely. Some ships have completely lost coordination with the others. Hana called a strategic meeting. Captain Wu, Commander Tay, President Day, Dr. Kwan, and Yuna gathered in the underground command center. We've proven we can operate without them seeing us, Hana said. We've damaged 12 of their ships. We could probably destroy the entire fleet if we wanted to, but I want to discuss something else. She pulled up a psychological profile that Yuna had created. The Vorash Collective has conquered dozens of species through overwhelming force. They've never faced an enemy like us. Director Yuna believes we can break them psychologically, not just militarily. Yuna stood up. The Vorash mind is structured around certainty and dominance. They understand victory and defeat, strength and weakness. But this, us being invisible to their consciousness, it's breaking their entire worldview. I propose we don't just hide from them. I propose we haunt them. What do you mean? President Day asked. We let them see us. Just for moments. Brief flashes where the quantum field flickers, where they become aware of us for a second before forgetting again. We make ourselves into ghosts, memories they can't hold on to, nightmares they can't quite remember. Dr. Kwan frowned. That's dangerous. If we adjust the field to allow partial perception, we risk them adapting to it. Can they adapt? Yuna asked. Has there been any sign they're learning to see through the field? No, Dr. Kwan admitted. If anything, they're getting worse at perceiving us. The longer they're exposed to the field, the more their minds reject the data. Admiral Hana considered this. How would this haunting work? Yuna had clearly prepared for this question. We calibrate the fields to flicker. Turn them off for 1 second, then back on. The Vorash will see our ships appear from nowhere, then vanish. We fly through their formations. We position ourselves in impossible places. We make them doubt reality itself. That's psychological warfare, Commander Tay said. Yes, the cruelest kind. We're not just defeating them, we're making them afraid of empty space. Captain Wu smiled darkly. I like it. When do we start? There's a risk, Dr. Kwan warned. To our own people. Operating the quantum fields in this way will increase the psychological stress on our personnel. Counselor Sora, what do you think? Sora had been quiet, but now she spoke. I think we're already seeing stress effects. But I also think we need to end this quickly. The longer we exist in this state, the more damage we do to our own minds. If haunting the Vorash makes them leave faster, I support it. President Day looked around the table. This is not how I imagined humanity's first contact with alien life. We're not communicating with them. We're not trying to understand them. We're driving them insane. They came here to exterminate us, Admiral Hana said quietly. They gave us 72 hours to submit to slavery or death. I will not feel guilty about what we're doing to them. The vote was unanimous. Operation Haunting would begin immediately. Lieutenant Rena received her new orders with mixed feelings. Her squadron was to fly directly through the Vorash fleet with fields set to flicker mode. They would appear and disappear like ghosts. This is going to mess with our heads, her wingman, a pilot named Minho, said. It already has, Rena replied. But if it ends this war faster, I'm willing to do it. That night, 12 human fighters launched from Sentinel-7. They flew toward the Vorash fleet with their quantum field set to flicker every 30 seconds. Each time the field dropped, the fighters became visible to Vorash consciousness for exactly 1 second. Inside a Vorash destroyer, a warrior stared at his screen. Empty space. Then for 1 second he saw 12 small ships in perfect formation. His mind registered them. Then they vanished. He blinked. Had he seen something? He checked his sensors. Nothing, but he could swear just for a moment. The experience repeated across the fleet. Vorash warriors caught glimpses of human ships. There then gone, real then not. The fighters flew through the middle of the Vorash formation, weaving between the huge alien warships. Appearing, disappearing, always moving. One Vorash captain tried to fire at the ghost ships. His weapons locked on during a flicker. He pulled the trigger. But by the time the lasers fired, the human fighters had vanished again. The shot missed. The fighters appeared behind him, then gone again. Rena felt sick. Every time the field flickered off, she felt a rush of fear. The Vorash could see her. Then the field came back on and she was safe again. The constant switching made her dizzy, but she kept flying. After 2 hours, her squadron returned to Sentinel-7. Rena climbed out of her cockpit and immediately vomited. Several other pilots did the same. That was horrible, Minho said. But Commander Tay showed them the Vorash communications that Yuna had intercepted. The Vorash were panicking. They reported ghost ships, hallucinations, impossible sightings. Some warriors refused to leave their quarters, claiming the walls were closing in. It's working, Tay said. Keep it up. Over the next week, human ships haunted the Vorash fleet constantly, never attacking, just appearing and vanishing, being there and not being there. The psychological effect was devastating. Commander Thross stopped sleeping. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw things. Ships that... 2 months had passed since the Vorash arrived. Their fleet was dying, but not from weapons. They were dying from fear. Admiral Hana watched the reports from Intelligence Director Yuna. The Vorash fleet had stopped functioning as a military force. Ships drifted out of formation. Some had shut down their weapons entirely. Others fired at empty space, seeing enemies that were not there. Or were they there? That was the question that haunted every Vorash warrior. 3 ships have started retreating toward the edge of the system, Yuna reported. They didn't ask permission from Commander Thross. They just left. Captain Wu stood beside her, looking at the tactical map. The discipline is completely broken. A week ago, desertion like that would have meant execution. Now nobody cares. On Earth's colony world New Jeju, Governor Hyun watched the Vorash fleet through his station's powerful telescopes. He had been a soldier once, fought in the Korean War before humanity reached the stars. He understood military discipline. What he saw in the Vorash fleet reminded him of armies on the edge of collapse. They're finished, he said to his aide. They haven't fired a shot at us, haven't conquered anything. But we've destroyed them anyway. The psychological toll was not limited to the Vorash. On Sentinel-7, Dr. Kwan reviewed medical reports with growing concern. Human personnel operating under the quantum fields for extended periods were showing troubling symptoms. Commander Tay was one of them. He had been stationed on Sentinel-7 since the crisis began, living under the quantum field continuously. Lately he felt strange. Sometimes when he looked in a mirror, he had to remind himself that he existed. His reflection seemed less real than it should be. I'm losing my sense of self, he told Dr. Kwan during a medical check. Dr. Kwan nodded. He had expected this. The quantum field affects consciousness. When you exist in a state where other minds cannot perceive you, it affects how you perceive yourself. I'm implementing mandatory rotation schedules. Everyone on the stations needs regular time on Earth's surface, away from the fields. Counselor Sora had been treating dozens of cases like ties, people who felt like ghosts. Soldiers who sometimes forgot they were real. She held therapy sessions in shielded rooms where the quantum field was turned off, letting people feel fully present again. How long can we maintain this? She asked Admiral Hana during a private meeting. Hana looked tired. She had aged 10 years in 2 months. Until the Vorash leave. We're winning, but you're right. We can't live like this forever. The technology that saved us is also slowly poisoning us. Then we need to end this, Sora said. Soon. Lieutenant Rena had not flown in 2 weeks. After her last mission, she spent 3 days unable to sleep, feeling like she did not exist. The medical staff grounded her until she recovered. Now she was cleared to fly again, but she felt different, hollow. She met with her squadron in the ready room. Half of them looked the same way she felt, distant, disconnected. New orders, their commander said. We're going to escort the Vorash out of the system. Captain Wu wants us to make sure they leave and never come back. Escort them? Minho asked. They can't even see us. How do we escort something that doesn't know we're there? Exactly like that. We follow them. If they turn around, we appear in front of them. Just for a moment. just long enough to remind them that the ghosts are watching. In the Vorash fleet, Commander Thros sat alone in his quarters. He had stopped trying to command his warriors. What was the point? They came here to conquer, he was sure of that. But conquer what? The planet below looked empty to him now, even though his sensors said it was full of life. He reviewed the data over and over. The computers showed cities, ships, satellites. But when Thros looked at the images, he saw nothing. His medical officer said it was not a disease. His tactical officer said it was some kind of weapon. But what weapon makes an entire civilization invisible to thought? A message came through from one of his ship captains. "Commander, we must retreat. The crew is falling apart. Warriors are refusing orders. Some claim they see ghost ships following us everywhere." Thros wanted to execute the captain for cowardice, but he could not, because he saw the ghost ships too. Flickers of something at the edge of vision. There, then not there. Real, then impossible. "Yes," he finally said. "We will retreat." The order spread through the Vorash fleet. They were leaving. Whatever they came here to do, they failed. They could not fight an enemy their minds refused to see. Intelligence Director Yuna brought the news to Admiral Hana. The Vorash are preparing to leave the system. They're organizing their remaining functional ships into a retreat formation. Hana called an emergency meeting. Captain Wu arrived within minutes. "This is our chance," Wu said. "But we need to make sure they never come back. Not just this fleet, but the entire Vorash collective. We need to make them so afraid of us that they mark this system as forbidden." "How?" President Day asked. Wu smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We show them the truth. Just once, for 10 seconds. We turn off every quantum field in the system and let them see what we've been doing to them for 2 months." Dr. Kwan understood immediately. "That's brilliant. And cruel." "Explain," Admiral Hana said. Wu pulled up tactical maps. "For 2 months, human ships have been positioned throughout their fleet. We've been everywhere, beside them, behind them, inside their formations. We've been watching them constantly. If we drop the fields all at once, they'll suddenly see that they're completely surrounded. They'll realize that we could have destroyed them at any time, that we've been playing with them. It might push them over the edge," Sora warned. "Some of them might not survive the psychological shock." "They came here to exterminate humanity," Wu said coldly. "I'm not concerned about their mental health." President Day looked at Admiral Hana. "This is your decision. You're in command." Hana thought about her daughter, who was safe in Seoul. She thought about the 8 billion people on Earth who had lived in fear for 2 months. She thought about how close humanity came to extinction. "We do it," she said. "Operation Final Mirage. We reveal ourselves, then vanish again. Let them see what hunted them." The preparation took 1 day. Every human ship moved into position. Captain Wu placed 300 human vessels throughout the Vorash fleet. 1 human ship for every Vorash warship. Lieutenant Rena's squadron positioned themselves around the Vorash flagship. Sentinel-7 and the other stations moved closer, their weapons armed but not aimed. On Earth, people received a message from Admiral Hana. "Citizens of humanity, tomorrow we end this war. The enemy will see us for the first time since they arrived. They will understand what they faced. And then they will leave and they will never return. Stay strong. We are almost free." Commander Tay stood on Sentinel-7's bridge as the countdown began. 10 minutes until the quantum fields dropped. He felt nervous. For 2 months he had been invisible. Now he would be seen. It felt wrong, like stepping naked into a crowd. "All stations!" Admiral Hana's voice came through the speakers. "Prepare to drop quantum fields on my mark. All weapons remain cold. We are revealing ourselves, not attacking. This is a message, not a battle." The countdown reached 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10. Drop fields. Now. Across the solar system, every quantum field generator shut down simultaneously. Humanity became visible again, not just to sensors, but to consciousness, to thought, to memory. On the Vorash flagship, Commander Thros was reviewing retreat plans when his world exploded. One moment he saw his fleet in orbit preparing to leave. The next moment he saw everything. Human ships, hundreds of them, not just around his fleet, but inside it, between his ships, beside them, above and below. Human stations that had been there all along, massive and armed, human fighters in perfect formations, so close he could see the pilots through the canopies. The humans had been there the entire time, watching, waiting. They could have destroyed the Vorash fleet 100 times over, but they did not. They simply watched while the Vorash fell apart. Thros's mind could not handle it. he screamed. Across the fleet, other Vorash warriors screamed too. They saw human weapons locked onto every Vorash ship. They saw human soldiers on their hull cameras, placing charges, removing them, placing them again. Playing. 10 seconds felt like hours. The Vorash saw everything they could not see before. 2 months of invisible haunting became suddenly, terribly visible. The ghost ships were real. The Watchers were real. The enemy was real, and they had been everywhere. Then the fields reactivated. Humanity vanished again. In the silence that followed, the Vorash fleet fell into complete chaos. Ships activated emergency drives and fled in all directions. Some crashed into each other trying to escape. Others shut down entirely, their crews unable to function. Commander Thross sat in his command chair, rocking back and forth. "Ghosts," he whispered. "We were hunted by ghosts." He gave his final order. "All ships, retreat. Leave this system. Never return." Lieutenant Rena watched from her fighter as the Vorash fleet scattered. The massive warships that had threatened Earth now fled like frightened animals. Her quantum field was active again. She was invisible, but she had seen the fear in the Vorash when they finally saw humanity. Real, absolute fear. "That's right," she whispered. "Run." 3 months after the Vorash fleet fled, Earth celebrated. The war was over. Humanity had won without firing a single shot in anger. But victory felt strange. Commander Tay stood on Sentinel-7, watching the last Vorash ship disappear into the darkness. The retreat had been chaotic and desperate. 5 Vorash ships crashed into asteroids while fleeing. 7 more shut down in deep space, their crews too traumatized to function. Captain Wu sent rescue teams to recover the survivors. Humanity saved the enemy who had come to destroy them. "Why did we save them?" a young officer asked. Tay answered quietly, "Because we're not them. We could have let them die, but that would make us the monsters." Intelligence Director Yuna worked day and night monitoring Vorash communications. What she discovered fascinated and horrified her. The story of Earth was spreading through the Vorash collective like wildfire. The surviving warriors told tales of the ghost species, beings who existed outside normal reality, ships that could not be seen or remembered, a civilization that hunted through the blind spots of consciousness itself. The Vorash, who had conquered 47 worlds, declared human space absolutely forbidden. Yuna recorded one communication between a Vorash admiral and Commander Thross, who had survived the retreat. "You expect me to believe in ghosts?" the admiral demanded. "I expect you to stay away from their system," Thross replied, his voice broken. "They are not ghosts. They are worse. They are real, but they choose when to exist. We could not fight them because we could not think about them. Our weapons saw them. Our sensors tracked them. But our minds could not understand what we were seeing. They made us forget while we were still looking. That's impossible. So was conquering 47 worlds before we did it. The humans have discovered something new. Something terrible. They are the perception walkers. Mark their space as forbidden. Anyone who enters does not return." The communication ended. Yuna reported everything to Admiral Hana. "They're making us into legends," Yuna said. "The Vorash Collective is spreading our story to other species. We're becoming something mythical." Admiral Hana looked troubled. "Is that good or bad?" "I don't know. Fear can protect us, but it can also make us targets. Some species might want to destroy us before we become too powerful." President Day called for a global council. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered in Geneva. The 3 colony worlds sent their governors. Military leaders, scientists, and philosophers all came together to decide humanity's future. The question was simple but profound. What do we do with the quantum field technology? Dr. Kwan presented the facts. Project Mirage saved us. That's undeniable. But it comes with costs. Long-term exposure affects human psychology. Commander Tay, would you share your experience? Tay stood before the assembly. He looked thinner than before, older. "I spent 3 months living under the quantum field. For a while I forgot I was real. I would look in mirrors and see nothing, even though my reflection was there. I would speak to people and wonder if they could actually hear me. The technology makes others unable to perceive us, but it also makes us question our own existence." Counselor Sora added her findings. "I've treated 200 cases of dissociative disorders related to the quantum fields. Most recovered after time away from the fields, but some still struggle. They feel disconnected from reality, like they're watching their own lives from outside. But the alternative is extinction. Captain Wu argued. The Vorash would have killed every human being if we hadn't disappeared. Should we destroy the one weapon that saved us? The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to keep the technology ready but inactive. Others wanted to destroy it completely. A few suggested making it permanent, keeping humanity invisible forever. Finally, President Day spoke. We need to vote. But first I want to say something. The Vorash forced us to make a terrible choice. Disappear or die. We chose to disappear. We survived. But survival is not the same as living. If we stay invisible forever, if we hide from the universe in fear, are we really alive? The vote was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would keep the quantum field generators. They would maintain them, test them, and improve them, but they would not use them unless absolutely necessary. Earth and the colonies would deactivate their fields. Humanity would be visible again. We will live in the light, President Day declared. But we keep the shadows ready just in case. The day the field shut down felt like waking from a dream. People across Earth and the colonies reported feeling more solid, more real. The sense of existing as ghosts faded. Children played in the streets. Cities came alive again. Lieutenant Rena returned to normal patrol duties. Flying without the quantum field felt different. She could see her wingmen clearly now. No mental slipping or forgetting. When she looked at her instruments, she trusted what she saw. It's good to be real again, Minho said over the radio. We were always real, Rena replied. We just made others forget it for a while. But not everyone was happy. Commander Tay requested a transfer to a research station far from Earth. He told Dr. Kwan the truth. I got used to being invisible. I liked it. Now that I'm visible again, I feel exposed, vulnerable. I need time to adjust. Dr. Kwan understood. You're not alone. Many people feel the same way. We became ghosts, and ghosts don't just become human again overnight. 6 months after the war ended, the first contact came from a new species. The Dalari were a peaceful race of traders who had heard about humanity from the Vorash. Their ships approached Earth cautiously, broadcasting friendship and curiosity. Admiral Hana, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Unified Terra Defense, met with the Dalari ambassador. The ambassador was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. We heard incredible stories about your species, the ambassador said. The Vorash call you the Perception Walkers. They say you can exist outside consciousness itself. Is this true? Hana chose her words carefully. We have technology that affects how other minds perceive us. We used it in self-defense against the Vorash. Can you demonstrate? Hana considered. This could be dangerous. Showing their power might frighten potential friends, but hiding it might make them seem weak. Yes, she decided. She pressed a button. The quantum field in the meeting room activated briefly, then deactivated. For 5 seconds, the Dalari ambassador forgot Hana existed. He looked around confused, wondering why he was sitting alone. Then the field dropped and Hana was back. The ambassador's eyes widened. Extraordinary and terrifying. You could walk through the galaxy unseen. We could, Hana agreed. But we choose not to. We only use this technology when threatened. Humanity prefers to be seen, to be known. We disappeared once and it hurt us almost as much as it hurt our enemies. The Dalari ambassador understood. You became ghosts to survive. But ghosts are lonely. Yes, exactly that. Word of humanity spread through the galaxy. The Vorash story became legend. Different species told different versions. Some said humans could walk through walls. Others claimed they could read minds. A few believed humans were actually spirits who had learned to take physical form. Intelligence Director Yuna tracked all these stories. She created a database of how different species perceived humanity. The reputation varied, but one element remained constant: fear. Everyone is afraid of us now, she reported to President Day. Not hatred, not anger, just fear. They don't know what we're capable of. Is that useful? Very. 3 aggressive species have avoided our space entirely. They remember what happened to the Vorash. Nobody wants to become the next species haunted by human ghosts. But Yuna worried about the future. Fear is a good defense, but a poor foundation for diplomacy. Eventually, we'll need allies, not just neighbors who are too scared to attack us. Governor Hyun proposed a solution. New Jeju would become humanity's diplomatic center, a place where the quantum fields were permanently disabled, where other species could visit without fear of being forgotten. A place where humanity proved it was more than ghosts and shadows. The first diplomatic summit was held on New Jeju a year after the war. 23 alien species attended. Some came out of curiosity. Others came seeking trade. A few came looking for protection, hoping the ghost species might defend them as they defended themselves. Captain Wu, now promoted to admiral, led the security force. His ships patrolled with quantum fields deactivated. Visible, present, real. Dr. Kwan attended as humanity's science representative. He explained the quantum field technology to curious aliens, describing it as a defensive measure only. "We don't want to be invisible," he told them. "We want to be part of the galactic community. The Vorash forced us to disappear, but now we choose to be seen." Counselor Sora worked with alien psychologists studying how different species processed consciousness and perception. She discovered that humans were unique in how they understood identity. Most species defined themselves by how others perceived them. Humans defined themselves from within. That's why the quantum fields hurt us, she explained to a Dalari scientist. When we became imperceptible to others, we had to hold on to our sense of self without external validation. It's harder than it sounds. Commander Tay returned to Earth after a year at the research station. He felt better, more solid. The dissociative episodes had stopped. He requested assignment.